Buck Adams is this space cowboy who used to rodeo up and down Route 66 back in the 50s. And one day this rocket ship pulled him up into space. And then he had been zooming across Route 66, but from space. And he could peer down and notice that the route needed some help with revitalization. And he spotted this space age gas station, which they call it Googie architecture. That's an actual thing. Spotted this place in Tulsa, and he landed here to help with revitalizing Route 66. That's the story. So I'd been in retail forever and had a shop downtown on the old alignment, and then the building sold, rent went up, and I missed it. And I said, what do you want? And I said, I want to do retail, but something small. And 30 minutes later, this 1950s Pemco gas station became available on Facebook. And I knew immediately, I was like, oh my gosh, a souvenir shop in a gas station on Route 66. Met with the people, we made a deal, and then I said, okay, I've got to have a mascot of some sort. And I thought, oh my gosh, a space cowboy would be so much fun. So we named him Buck for the cowboy, Atom, ATOM for space, mash it together, you got a space cowboy. So we opened the store, and a little time goes by, I said, oh my gosh, sure would love to have some sort of roadside attraction. And at first my brother called Aline, Oklahoma, Bud's Salvage Yard to see, because my dad grew up in Enid, Oklahoma, and we thought maybe they would sell it. And he said, no, that brings too much business.
Hey, this is Joel with American Giants. I have been wanting to do this episode for a long time, and this is the episode about Buck Adams. Mary Beth Babcock, somebody who has made a profound difference on Route 66, especially in Oklahoma, in Tulsa, but really has helped change the route, brought a lot of awareness to Muffler Men, and thankfully, I feel honored that I get to be a part of the Buck story.
Next thing, I had a conversation with Reese Martin, the president of the Oklahoma Route 66 Association, and he said, watch this video of Joel Baker from American Giants. Watch that. I thought, I'm gonna reach out to this guy, see if he'll give me the time of day. He did. I think it was maybe the next day or a few days later, we get on the phone and we talked for over an hour. And I just tried to kind of paint the picture of what the heck I'm doing here. And I was like, I'm trying to find a roadside attraction.
Mary Beth had told Reese about her plan. She had a small gas station on Route 66 just outside of Tulsa. It was in the Meadow Gold District, which was quite a bit different back then compared to what it is today. And she had a lot of ideas, a lot of plans. And after talking to Reese about that, he said, why don't you have a chat with Joel Baker and see if he can help you with some big roadside attractions.
He said, well, I could maybe loan you my 66 man, the Phillips 66 Muffler Man. And I thought, how perfect. Route 66, Phillips 66. My dad worked for Phillips 66.
Mary Beth is a combination of drive, excitement, passion, determination. And when you have that combination, it's really a recipe for success. And by the time we talked, the train was already moving and there was no way to stop it. And that's a good thing. She was very eager to learn all about the Giants. She didn't know a ton about it, and she was willing to listen to me ramble on as I have from that time till now about these giants. Our early conversations about where does this cowboy go, this Phillips 66 cowboy, where should it stand? And we were comparing places on each side of the building. I was encouraging her to talk to the city about permits and make sure there was no issues there later on down the road. And I realized right away that she was very fortunate because Tulsa, they recognized the potential for tourism. And they got it, like they understood the picture, and they realized what Muffler Men can actually do for a business or a city, especially on Route 66. And this is not always the case. So many times you have people who want to draw tourism to a town, and you unfortunately have a council that just don't get it. They don't see the vision. They talk about all the negatives that could possibly happen with the giant. A lot of stuff, most of it will never happen. And after all this discussion and running it through 20 different people and their opinions, it's normally knocked down and not allowed to happen. Tulsa was not like that. And I realized right away that this was going to be very good for what the vision that Mary Beth had. As we kept talking, I realized that this Muffler Man was really going to be a big part of Mary Beth's brand. Like this was every bit a part of the experience that you would have at Buck's was this giant. And I got to thinking eventually I'm going to maybe pull my cowboy out of there, and it's going to be so much tied to her brand. And so the rental thing just started to raise some questions. August 21, 2018 was a big day. What if we ditch my cowboy idea and you work with a guy I know named Mark Klein, and he builds you a custom Muffler Man? And not only that, why don't you make that Muffler Man Buck Adams, your character?
And he was like, wait a second. You need one of your own mascot. Let me introduce you to Mark Klein of Enchanted Castle Studios.
And you can have Buck and he'll be yours. And you won't have to rent him. You won't have to split ownership with him. Nothing like that. He's your giant.
I get in touch with Mark and we talk, and I tell him, I show him a picture of what our character looked like. And then he sketched him out into Muffler Man form. He even asked, he said, do you want it to look like a Muffler Man, or do you want it to look more comic? Like I said, oh no, I want it to look like a Muffler Man to celebrate that history. And so he sends a sketch, and it literally blew my mind. Like, is this real?
Nothing else on Route 66 will compare to Buck, because he'll be a custom Muffler Man designed just for you. He'll be a one-of-a-kind experience. By October 2018, things were moving fast in a new direction, and Mark was already starting to work on Buck. He'd made a sketch of what it was going to look like, and Mary Beth was doing fundraising, talking about Buck now. We weren't calling him a Phillips 66 cowboy anymore. We were calling him Buck. He had a name. And things were happening very, very quickly. I even got to visit Mark during the construction process and get a first-hand look at what Buck would look like.
Hey, I'm Mark Klein at the Enchanted Castle Studios, working on a brand new Muffler Man, sort of a altered version of him, quite a bit altered, in fact. He's supposed to look pretty much like this model here. This is he's going to be a space cowboy going out to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And he's got all kinds of accessories, jet packs, he's got shoulder pads. The only one I've ever done that has a big bubble over his head. And that presented quite a challenge, because in real life, these things they're going to have a whole ecosystem that grows up in there, and a lot of dirt and so forth. And so we decided to go with having a visor that's open so people could clearly see the face.
I don't care if it's a highway, I don't care all night long.
Now you're doing a truck step. Now you're doing a truck step. Now you're doing a truck step.
You never know how these guys are gonna ride or pull until we get going down the road. And what we found out with this guy is this hat, this massive hat here, acts as a big barn door. It's gonna be a nice slow trip home, but we'll get her home and get the internal done on it.
By December, Mary Beth was really locking down the schedule, and she was locking down finances and everyone that needed to get paid. In those days, there was no Re-Giant. It was American Giants, and we called it American Giants Restoration. It was the same guys, but it was all run under American Giants. So I was kind of the middleman. I was working with Mary Beth. I was talking to Mark. I was talking to Michael, the guys who now run Re-Giant, and we were working on pickup from Mark and transportation and the schedule and when the internal structure would go in Buck and what that would look like. And then Mary Beth started throwing out a date in early May of when all this would happen and go up. So we started working with the concrete company and giving dimensions to Mary Beth for a slab that would be poured. Things were happening very fast, and I was really busy handling all these logistics and going back and forth and talking to everybody and making sure everything would line up.
So there's so many elements with getting one of these giants, and we had so many people, different people involved, from Boomtown Lifting, then Lafone Construction did all the concrete base. We had American Giants actually bring Buck to Tulsa and install him, make his skeleton, the whole thing.
The plan was put into cement that Buck would arrive with Michael on the 9th of May, and we would go straight to Chris's shop and we would install the rocket the afternoon of the 9th. I'll never forget the night that we got to Tulsa. I flew in from Denver and Michael arrived from Southern Illinois with Buck. But that was, I'll never forget that evening. It was, the camaraderie there was so cool. None of us had ever met before except me and Michael. And we just blended so well in our skill sets and, just having a good time working on Buck. Scott was working on the Oklahoma metal tin logo there on his shoulder. And, Michael, I think, was repairing some fiberglass stuff. And I was filming and helping where I could. But that was just a really neat moment. And I think Mary Beth even showed up and peeked in. I'm late to the party here. I just got into Tulsa. Michael's back there putting some fiberglass on the hands. We've got Chris over here and Scott Farmer, who does all the sculptures. And so we've got a little reunion going on here at 11:30 at night in Tulsa at Chris's shop. Michael's trying to help the fiberglass tack up, and then we'll work on a few minor repairs on his shoulder, getting ready for tomorrow. So Scott, what are you getting here?
I'm getting a test fin from the Buck Adams rocket, which is right over there, the gorgeous rocket that Chris made. I asked him if I could have this test fin. He said yes. I'm gonna put it on my wall. Is this cool or what?
All right, it's pretty early in the morning, about a little after 8. Michael and I just came down here real quick to where Buck's going to look at the slab and have a look at how it's all going to go. We think we know how we're going to pull in and where the crane will go, so we'll head back over to Chris's shop now and finish up some work on Buck and get him down here. So we're in the back of Chris's shop here, and he doesn't have all the room in the world. So we're having to do a lot of small movements with the truck and trailer here to get him at the angle where he can back out down the side of the building back there behind me. Keep coming straight back.
got Buck back out of Chris's shop. The rocket's out here, and we're going to try to attach the rocket here versus doing it down there. Make it just a little bit easier. We got the tools here, so we're going to get it. So when we leave here, straight shot down to setup.
And I remember riding with Reese down to the site where Buck would go, and we were kind of all in a caravan, and it was just a really cool experience.
We knew when Buck was about to come over the hill on Route 66 coming east to west, and we're outside waiting on the corner, we're waiting on the sidewalk, and I see him come up over the hill, and I literally couldn't believe it. And this was the first time I had ever met Joel Baker with American Giants. So it just was like, I was like a little kid on Christmas Day, literally. Like, he pulled up and I'm like, still even right this moment, it doesn't seem real.
All right, we've arrived down here. We're getting ready. Chris forgot the nose cone to the rocket, so he's got to go back and get it. So once he gets back and gets the nose cone on the rocket, then we can get started.
So when Buck gets, he gets pulled into the parking lot, he's laying down on his back, looking up to the sky, and that moment is not going to be there for long. So it's like, oh, let's get a photo with him while he's in this position. We had Joel Baker with American Giants. We had Michael Yonkin, which is with now Re-Giants. And we had Chris Wallard, who made Buck's rocket ship. We had Scott Farmer, who makes the most amazing 1 foot tall and different size sculptures of these giants. We all took a photo together. I got to sign the bottom of Buck's foot. So I'm sure it's still there, but you'll never know. It just a magical day. And then to see him go up, like to see that process, that's another whole thing, another whole element of these installations is people coming out to watch these go up because this is history being made, like at that moment. That moment will never happen again, ever. Mark Klein, Enchanted Castle Studios, Chris Wallard, who made his rocket ship. Oh my gosh!
We got to work strapping on that jetpack and bolting it on. We got the crane hooked up. It was a moment that Route 66 was changing in Tulsa.
But it was such a magical day. We had the lieutenant governor here. We had Michael Wallace, the sheriff from the movie Cars. We had Reese Martin, president of the Route 66 Association. We had, so many people were involved with this. And it's to get the support from your community and from Tulsa and Route 66.
The Giants are really at a whole new level from when I started in 2011. It's a different world now, and it's really been exciting to be a part of that and have been on the ground to experience, big moments like when Buck went up, and to meet the people and the visionaries behind them and play a small part in that. I think when I was at that launch party that Mary Beth had, and I saw all those people there that were so passionate about Route 66 and this new giant that had just arrived in town, that's when I think one of the first times I really thought, this can be big. The people get this, they get it. And I was so excited to have a small part. I got to give a small speech that day and meet so many new people, and I'll never forget it. It was a turning point. It was a turning point. Yeah, what an amazing experience. This has been great. We love you, Tulsa.
With the giants, with the Muffler Men, the Uniroyal Gals, any of these giants, these roadside attractions, they not only help your own business, they're going to the trickle down effect, with your whole neighborhood, with your city. They are going to impact everyone. So it's a huge part of tourism, and any city that has something like that, I'm telling you, to partner with those people, like that is going to help the whole city.
We're kind of living in an amazing age now of more Muffler Men popularity and awareness, and more people are getting on board each year. More businesses, find Mary Beth, or visit Lee Woods in Hot Springs, Arkansas, or find one of my videos on YouTube and get excited about this and call up and say, how does this work? How can we get involved? And it's the times are changing, and I feel like we're entering the golden age of Muffler Men.
They have these personalities, the characteristics on these Muffler Men. They've got these amazing chins, these just chiseled faces, and the character, their eyes, they're all a different color eyes. And some do have that charming, personality to them. Some can look a little spooky. It's just like, what do you want? Even, the skin tones, they're all so unique. Every single one of them is unique. And that's what makes it fun to try to go see as many as you possibly can.
Muffler Men have such a gravitational pull, especially on Route 66. And if a town gets that, then it's going to be a bright future for them, because a lot of people. It's Muffler Men isn't the kind of thing where you just see one and you're done. It's like, if you see one, you want to see them all. And these days, as Muffler Men continue to increase on the route, you just kind of get to go down the route and start checking them all off. You don't want to stop. You want to see every one of them. A lot of people, they travel the route, they see all the Muffler Men. 2 years later, the landscape has changed, so they want to travel it again.
Yes, so the impact that these roadside attractions, that these Muffler Men have on your business is huge. We have the state now using Buck for he was in Times Square. Buck Adam was in Times Square on these huge screens, and the state had utilized them for promoting the state of Oklahoma. This little souvenir shop, well, these multiple shops on Route 66, the people that I meet, I can't even tell you. Rarely do you have someone upset that's coming in your store. They're having a good time. They're seeing these fun attractions. What we're doing is helping create these experiences, and it fulfills me. It's like a mutual deal. It makes me happy to see other people happy, or seeing families together making these experiences. And we have to keep doing this. We need to keep adding these things to the route to keep it exciting. So this fills my heart on a daily basis. This is my life.
These giants are really creating a new experience for Route 66 travelers. And now, with shops like Mary Beth, you really get to take a piece of Buck home, maybe not literally, but there's so many things in these shops that are, now we have Gearhead and Motorheads and Bucks and so many other places. The Highway Cafe, where you can purchase little bits of Muffler Man memorabilia, t-shirts, minifigures like the ones Mike Taylor are making. So much has changed since 2019 when Buck went up.
So a friend was like, Land of the Giants. So we have Buck Adam, and then I thought, oh my gosh, I think we need a space cowgirl. So I reached back out to Mark Klein with Enchanted Castle Studios. I said, hey Mark, what about a space cowgirl? And we have this, great conversations. My conversations with Mark Klein are not normal conversations. He is such an amazing human being, amazing artist. His imagination, his view on life is beautiful. That's another thing why I love working with him. So I said, what about a uniroyal gal as a space cowgirl? And next thing you know, we've got one. So she got here about a year and a half ago, I believe. Next thing, there's this lumberjack that comes to town. So one of the other people start seeing the impact that these have, and a property owner in the neighborhood, Aaron Meek, found this lumberjack for sale, bought him from American Giants.
I really like seeing how these communities rally behind people with these visions and support it, and now when you go to Tulsa, you have, Meadow Gold Mac, which is a giant that we helped a buyer find in Tulsa. I remember visiting him in Crystal Lake in my 2012 YouTube series. Later, the owner wanted to sell him, and so we helped find a buyer, and that buyer was in Tulsa. That giant went to Tulsa and sat in storage for years before Mary Beth even knew he was there. And now he's a part of the group. It's all due to Mary Beth and the community and the city behind her and all the travelers who go and take the time to visit each year.
So our neighborhood is called Meadow Gold District. So I wanted him to be for everyone, like Meadow Gold Mac, to help brand the whole neighborhood. So it's not just me, but in there are over 50 different local artists. So we're able to show off all these other creatives in that one space. Don't you need more? So I call Mark Klein again. So we have this vintage shop. It's a Western wear vintage shop called Buck's Vintage. And it's all resale cowboy boots, pearl snaps, belt buckles, bolo ties. And I thought, man, how cool would it be to have a giant for that store? So, welcome Cowboy Bob. And how about another one? One more. This is it, I promise. No more. Rosie the Riveter, Ike's Chili, historic Ike's Chili. They've been in business over 100 years. So by Ike's and Josie Records, the cool record store up the way, Grandfather Clock. Again, this is for everyone. These giants, we want them to be helping the whole, not just the Meadow Gold District, the city of Tulsa, Route 66, the state of Oklahoma, everyone. We work with so many local artists on merchandise. Like we have the Land of the Giants merchandise here. Look at this, that they took Buck and Stella into the American Gothic style. They even put Bigfoot on the roof, Piggy Stardust in the window, our neon sign. We have fun here. It's not just a normal old day. Oh wow, look who's up there. It's Rosie the Riveter as a uniroyal gal. William Bubba Flint does those pieces, what I absolutely love. And then we have one of my favorites, the Stella Adam Cosmic Coffee, made by a local roaster, Topeka, another local company I absolutely love. We've got over here, t-shirts printed by a local printing company. And I work with my friend Jamie, and Vibrasonic is his company. Centennial t-shirts. We even have stickers of me as a cheerleader. Yes, I was a cheerleader for Halloween one year, and now I'm cheering for Route 66. And then, pint glasses. You've got pint glasses with Buck on them. It's a tongue twister. Buck on them. Buck, Route 66, so many fun things. I love working with local artists. That's one of my highlights of my job. I love what I do.
Buck really led the charge with Muffler Man on Route 66. He wasn't the first one, but when we set him up, things changed that day, and I just noticed a shift in interest and a growing interest in these giants. And it wasn't long before more and more and more giants started to join. You know, other business owners caught the vision. Mark was making custom giants for other people. Since that time, Tulsa looks completely different when it comes to Muffler Men. And now there's 5 giants within a block or 2 blocks of each other in that area. And so Buck really changed the landscape when it comes to giants and just ushered in this new era, which is something I've been dreaming about. Talking about these giants and bringing awareness to them is something I've been passionate about since 2011. And so it's really been fun to watch what Buck has done.
If it wasn't for Joel Baker, I would not have a giant. And I'm not kidding. And I tell so many people that, and it could get emotional. I don't know. I never in my life thought that any of this would ever be a reality for myself. And this is my life. Like every single day I come to work. There's days that I talk to these guys. You know, I say good night. You know, good night, Buck. Good night, Stella. It's just, this is my life. And I like to tell people, like, if you dream big enough, these things can happen. But I can't thank Joel enough for taking the time out of his life, because he's got a life, but he took the time out of his life to talk to me and then help me follow through. So that's a huge, huge part of this.